Hey guys, it's Mrs. Ernst. So here is the lowdown. Basically, my absence was not planned. It was unexpected. I'm going to be out until the day we all get back from Thanksgiving break, which is November 30th. So the reason that I was not in school yesterday or today or tomorrow and then Monday, Tuesday I'll be out as well is because my family was around someone who tested positive for COVID 2 days ago. We were around this person and considered to be close contacts with them. He was at our house on Saturday, so he got his positive results 2 days ago. And even though my whole family were feeling fine, we were around this person for an extended period of time. And obviously they didn't know they had COVID at the time until a couple days later, but I have to quarantine just because I am a close contact at this point. So it was unexpected, and I apologize that I can't be there to do the study guide and review with you in person or be there in person while you take the test. So I've had to make some changes just to accommodate this absence, and me having to stay away from you guys and be at home. So we got COVID tested. We're awaiting our own results just as kind of a precautionary thing. And to rule that out. So hopefully that comes back negative and I can join you guys again in class on the 30th when we all get back from break. So I apologize for the unexpected absence. It was not my intent to do a study guide via video, but it is what it is, and this is what we've got to work with. So I made some notes here just in case the sound didn't turn out very well. I hope it does, but I also just didn't want to forget to hit these high points. Here's how we're gonna do this study guide, and here's what's gonna be in the video. I want you to follow along and complete the study guide questions that I do in the video. Complete them on your paper because I'll be working on the same study guide that you have for Unit 2. And I will post the answer key for this study guide on Google Classroom tomorrow because I obviously want you to be able to study from the correct answers. And you will get a completion grade for doing this study guide. So whatever we don't do in the video together, you need to do on your own. And you have the rest of class to do that. It'll be due tomorrow, which is Friday. Okay? So all tests need to be started either tomorrow on Friday or Monday. I can't have anyone starting the test on Tuesday. That's just too late. So everyone has to be done by Tuesday. If you need some time on Tuesday, that's okay, but I don't want anyone pushing it to the last second and starting on that day. Other good news is that it's going to be open notes because I had to suddenly change my plans and I couldn't be there in person. We're just going to do open notes test. So if you are taking the test, you can use this study guide, you can use homeworks, you can use notes, any of your resources in your math binder, you can go ahead and use those, okay? So open notes test, you've got to start it tomorrow or Monday. And the last thing is for transitions, whether or not you are taking the unit test, you've got to complete the study guide. So look at it as just a nice, easy completion grade, because if you have it done tomorrow, Mrs. Oliver will check it and you check your answers with the study guide. From there, you're either taking the test or you're not, okay? So if you don't take the test, it's going to be an 80 in progress book, and this just goes for math transitions. So math connections, you guys are all taking it. But again, math transitions, you've got to do the study guide. It's going to be a completion grade, so it's just going to be all the problems, almost all of the types of problems from our current unit, okay? All right, so here is what you should have in front of you. All right, it says Unit 2 study guide at the top. Now, I did take out our percentage topic from this unit test because I thought that was our simplest topic, and I think you guys did well enough with that we don't need to include it on our unit test. So what's going to be on our unit test is probability, and then permutations and combinations, which is what we finished off with this week. And then the last thing on the unit test is going to be our proportions, ratios, and rates, okay? So I'm gonna do some problems from each section with you, And then if you need to refer back to this, it's obviously going to be posted in Google Classroom, so you can access it anytime if you want to look back at one of the problems that I did with you guys, okay? So this will stay posted for your reference. Let's look at the very front. So everyone have the front of their study guide open, have something to write with. I'm going to be calculating stuff using a calculator here. So if there's a couple second delay, it's probably because I'm using my calculator, okay? All right, so first questions ask you to make a tree diagram. Now with probability, tree diagrams are like maps. They're outlines that show you all of your combinations, all of your possible outcomes that you can have for a probability problem. Okay, so if you're talking about multiple things happening, like tossing a coin and rolling a dice, you need to start your tree diagram with whatever they give you first. So tossing a coin gives you the possibilities of heads or tails. And then from there, the branches that we need to make, sorry, the video's adjusting, I think. Here we go. From there, when you roll a dice, you have 6 possible outcomes, which are the numbers 1 through 6. So each of these branches would be a number. And then that's your tree diagram. Okay, the next one you need to make is going to be on your own, but it's talking about combinations for a pizza. You can choose from different types of crust, sizes, and then only 2 toppings. So make a tree diagram for this problem. I'm going to move on to just our basic probability, which is down here in the second half of your paper. Now, probability we mostly expressed as a fraction or a percent. You can also represent it by using a decimal, but I would say the most common are fractions and maybe percents, okay? So if you see a problem that says calculate the probability, there's going to be a P before parentheses, and whatever's in the parentheses, you need to find the chances of those events or that event happening. Your denominator of the fraction you make is your total possible outcomes. The numerator is whatever's in parentheses, okay? So in this spinner, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections. And the first one is asking, what's the probability of landing on an even number? Well, look at your 8 possibilities. How many are even? You've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4 out of 8, which is 1/2. Okay, always simplify your fractions. Now, the next one, let's look at B. It just says 3 or less. So we're including the number 3. So that is 1, 2, and 3 sections. So we've got 3 out of our 8 possibilities that are 3 or less. Okay, so all it's asking you to do is just calculate the probability. All right. The next one here that I want you to try on your own is it gives you a tree diagram, and it's just the result of flipping a coin and then rolling a dice. So the same tree diagram that's up here in our first problem. So it says find each probability, same thing you do with the spinner. Part A says flipping heads up on a coin and then rolling a number greater than 4. So you're going to look over here where it says H, and then how many of those numbers are greater than 4? Well, it's 5 and 6. So that is 2 out of 12 total outcomes. Okay, there's 12 here between the heads and tails, and that can simplify to 1/6. Okay, so this is just basic probability. All right, I'm going to go to the second page. You've got some more to complete on your own, but let's go to page 2, which has your permutations and combinations. And some of these problems are just basic counting principle. So the fundamental counting principle is just where you multiply everything together and you get your total number of outcomes. And that's not considering things that have to be in order or grouped together. So that's just coming up with how many ways can you combine all of these things. Okay, so those are our 3 types of problems on this page. Now looking at number 4, okay, if any of these problems are going to be a permutation or combination, you have to think, does the order matter? All right, permutations are picky, they're particular, so the order matters. Combinations are just grouping things together. Order doesn't matter, but combinations are where you're going to have division to do in that problem. So looking at this first one, you've got a race with 50 people. How many different ways can there be a first, second, and third place prize. Okay, so if we're talking about first, second, and third place, then order is going to matter. Okay, so if order matters, that's a permutation. All right, and we start with our total possibilities, and we're talking about 3 of those outcomes. So this would be a permutation of 50 considering 3. Okay, so all you use is multiplication, and you should have 3 numbers written down, counting down by 1 each time. Okay, so you multiply those 3 things together. And just to save some time here, I'll just have you calculate those on your own because you just multiply them together. I just want to move on to another type of problem. Okay, let's look for a combination problem. Okay, let's go down here. Okay, number 10. There's a dance team with 15 members. Only 7 of them can go on to the final competition. How many different groups, so here's a key word, how many different groups can go to that final competition? So this is going to be a combination problem where you have 15 options and you're considering 7 of them. So we have to do division here. Now in the numerator, we're going to start with how many possibilities we have, which is 15. We're going to count down by 1 each time until we have 7 numbers written down. 10, and then 9. Sorry, my phone keeps shaking. I'm trying to do my best to keep it steady. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Since this is a combination, we're going to have division, and you just start with however many you're considering and count down to 1. So we've got 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and so your answer is going to be this number that's multiplied and then this number that's multiplied after you get your answers. This number divided by that number. Okay, all right, now number 9 though, this is just a counting principle. It's just how many ways can you put these things together. So you're designing a car, you've got 10 paint colors, 4 types of tires, 5 interior fabrics, and 7 types of radio. Oh, you can also do sunroof, with or without. How many different cars can you create? Well, you're not putting things in order. You're not putting things into certain numbered groups. You're just combining them. So all you need to do is multiply whatever's in front of you. 10 paint colors, 4 tires, 5 fabrics, 7 radios, and then 2 sunroof options. Okay, so this is different than the other 2 types of problems because you're not counting down by 1 each time. You're just taking those options, multiplying them together. Okay? All right, I'm gonna go to the last page so that you guys can have time to work on your own. All right, and these are gonna be our ratio, proportion, and rate problems. Okay? So the 3 ways that we can write a ratio is using the number 2, or sorry, the word 2 in between the 2 numbers. We can use a colon, or we can use a fraction. So these first 3 questions are asking you to write those ratios in 2 other ways. So if I'm looking at number 1, the other ways that I can write 5 to 8 is as a fraction or with the colon in between, okay? So these other 2 questions will give you one of those formats. You just need to write the other 2 and then move on to the next section. Determine if these pairs of ratios form a proportion. So proportions are where we used our cross multiplying. Okay, the butterfly multiplication, all right, diagonally. With these questions, you don't have to solve for a missing number. All 4 of them are there, but you're looking to see if you get the same number twice. So 5 times 24 gives me 120. And then 4 times 40 gives me 160. So if you get the same number twice, they're proportional. If you don't, then they are not. So these numbers, these ratios, do not form a proportion. Okay? Check the other 2 the same way using cross multiplication. Now these 3, numbers 9, 10, and 11, you're still using cross multiplication, but you are solving for a missing number. Okay? So 13 times 8, that I can do because I've got both numbers. and I get 104. For 2 times W, I don't know what W is yet, so I'm just going to have to write 2W, okay? The only other step you have to do, sorry, this pencil's not really showing up in this part, is you have to get W by itself. You want to know what number W is, so you've got to divide the 2 away from the W. So 104 divided by 2 will give us what W is. W is 52. Okay, so it says solve each proportion. So tell me what the variable is in numbers 9 and 10. Now a unit rate, that is a comparison of two numbers, but with different units. So to find a unit rate, you're just using division. Okay, you're taking the first unit divided by the second unit. So in number 13, if we want cost per basketball, then we need to take the cost we're given and divide by the number of basketballs. So if I take $371.70 divided by 30 basketballs, I get $12.39 per basketball. Okay, so the next one you need to find is a calories per donut amount. So divide calories by a number of donuts. Okay, now real world application problems down here. You are going to be solving a proportion in all of these questions here. Now when we worked with scale, we set up proportions and we solved for a missing number. So with scale, you'll always be given a ratio. So write that as a fraction. 1 inch on a map is 15 miles in real life. So the other number they give you is 4 inches. So the numerators are where you need to have your inches units. You need to keep like units together across the bottom and the top. What's the distance between parks and miles? Well, you are finding how many miles that would be if it was 4 inches on a map. Once you have a proportion set up, it's just that cross multiplying and solving for the unknown. Okay? So the key thing here is to keep your like units together, whether it's pounds and pounds, milligrams and milligrams. Here it's square footage in pounds. Here you have length and width, I believe. Yep, length and width of a photo. So length or width needs to be across the top or the bottom. And then same thing down here, you have another scale problem. Number 20 is a scale drawing, and that's 15 feet long. The scale they give you is 1 inch to 3 feet. So feet needs to be in your denominators. Inches need to be in your numerators, okay? I know I kind of went through that fast. Maybe it doesn't seem like it if you're watching this as a video, but these topics are all what's on your Unit 2 test. So again, complete the study guide for homework or classwork if you get it done before you leave, and you'll get a completion grade for it, whether or not you are taking the test. So those of you that are going to take the test, you need to start it tomorrow, which is Friday, or on Monday. So I'm going to wrap this video up. I'm going to post it to Google Classroom. Mrs. Oliver will be there to help you if you have questions. You can always email me if you guys have questions too. I'll be checking my email all day. So again, I apologize I can't be there, but I hope it helps that you guys can have your resources out because this is an open notes test. Okay? Let me know if you need anything, and I will see you the Monday after Thanksgiving break.